That one's bright. All right, guys, we're back. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving holiday. I had a lot going on, so I apologize. I wanted to do a podcast, but sometimes the planets just don't align, so they say. So I couldn't get it done with all the resources I needed. A lot of times I just want to do it right. I want to be prepared, and I didn't have a lot of the pieces together, and especially I didn't have my media manager wasn't 100% healthy. She was kind of recovering, and she got all better. Good thing she has a lot of good healthy white blood cells, and so I just did my job as a husband and just took care of her and made sure that she got better, gave her the food she wanted and the rest she needed, and took care of the animals. So welcome back. We got this is podcast Brent Knox, the podcast number 7. I also wanted to make a quick announcement. The first thing I wanted to say is the Brent Knox, the podcast. I have a new name for the podcast. I know podcast is kind of generic, and of course, Eric is my middle name. I always told my mom, you gave me the most generic middle name because it's one of the most common, if not the most common, Anglo middle name is Eric, E-R-I-C, and it is also the last part of the word generic. So thank you, Mom. I love my middle name, but I'm not going to go generic with the name of my podcast. So the name of my podcast, drum roll, please. Here we go. Idea Farm. So it's Idea Farm, IF, which is like if. And I was going to make it longer and call it Idea Farm in a usage strategy. So when we basically go through ideas and talk about new ideas and new things that come up and talk about what we're going to do with them. So the usage strategy, but basically Idea Farm. So Brent Knox Idea Farm is the new name. So from now on, I'm going to call it Brent Knox Idea Farm and just talk about different ideas. I'd like to welcome everyone. I can see some of you in the chat as well. So thanks for joining today. We have first thing I want to do is give you an update. So my Thanksgiving, I know last time I talked about playing games with family, and that's pretty important to me, and I wanted to kind of continue that tradition. And so what did I do? I brought plenty of games. I brought categories. I brought chess and checkers set. I brought Uno. I brought a bunch of different games. And what did we end up playing? Guess. So the teenage boys have a few teenage boys that are like right around high school age, sophomore year, and they wanted to play chess. So I played a few games of chess with the guys, and we had a good time and end up being like a little chess tournament. So don't tell the kids, but I think what I'm going to do is I want to get them chess sets. Don't say anything. So that's a good Christmas gift for some kids. Get them a chess set because they wanted to play, and I had a few people that wanted to play as well. So that was a good time. And so the other thing I did is we played some poker. I tried to do the tournament style, but they weren't really having it. And so they were like, let's just play for dollars here and there, small bills. And we ended up playing poker. I was actually up about almost $30 at one point. But me, I don't know. I'm not going to say I wussed out, but I don't really. I mean, I lost fair and square, but I don't really like to take money from family members. It's one of my soft spots, especially at the host or if you're going to Thanksgiving. I don't like to walk out of place with a lot of cash from family. It's just me. So I just let some people kind of bully me, if you will. And so I called a few hands I probably shouldn't have called, and I lost all the money. But I only ended up walking out losing $15, which is when you're giving it to family, it's not much. So I'm pretty happy with how it went. And also yesterday, on Thanksgiving, I had pozole, which everyone loves pozole. I got some turkey, and my daughter made a beautiful turkey. It was so good. And my wife and I made our first turkey. I call it the Perusa turkey. So it's Peru, USA turkey. It had a lot of ingredients from a USA turkey, which would be, I guess you think like parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, like the song, right? All those things were in the turkey. But then my wife came in and she said, let's work on the sauce a little bit. And she added pollo la brasa sauce. So if you guys ever tried the pollo la brasa sauce, You get it at the Latin market, the place that has everything from Central and South America, and you will find it says pollo la brasa. I'll show it. It's brown. You just look for it. And I marinate that a lot of times, a chicken, a turkey in that, and comes out really good. So the turkey, I'm going to make it every year from now on. At least next year, I'm going to try something a little different, but I do like to add the pollo la brasa sauce to the turkey. And also she added pineapple and apples to the turkey. It turned out really good. And of course, the one thing I forgot this Thanksgiving, you guys can tell me the stuff that you forgot. I forgot cranberry, just like in the song. You mean you forgot cranberry too? And so we heard that song, and the wife said, I never knew this was a Christmas song. I'm like, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. So there's a wifeyism. She realized that song is actually a Christmas song, and it was all about, I could really relate because I always forget the cranberry. Cranberry on turkey, make it a sandwich. It's really good. So the other thing that we did is also brought some side dish and some other good stuff. So we had a great time for Thanksgiving. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving, since that's what I had prepared. Wanted to just go through that really fast since I wasn't able to do that show, but wanted to basically go back. So one of the things I did to do my research, of course, is I looked it up in the best encyclopedia ever made. You know, when I grew up, my parents had Encyclopedia Britannica and all the different encyclopedias. I think you guys grew up with these encyclopedias as well, a lot of the older generation. And I would just have like the A book sitting by my bed, and I would go to sleep reading the A book until I got bored. I read through the A book, and it took me actually a few years, but I got through every letter of the alphabet thanks to my mom getting the World Book encyclopedias. Thank you, Mom. God rest your soul. She's not resting. She's running all over the place. She's a spirit in heaven. So thank you very much, Mom, for deciding to get the encyclopedia. But I digress. I'm going off the track. The track is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is where I get a lot of my information. And people say, oh, Wikipedia. If they want to tell you, like a teacher will tell you, Wikipedia, that's not really mainstream media poses. Like, whatever. Okay. So anyone tried to tell me that, I said, well, okay, then come up with one mistake or 5 mistakes in Wikipedia, and I'll give you 5 mistakes that the mainstream media made just in the past 5 years alone. How's that? I'm going to give you 5. The Russia hoax, Hunter Biden's laptop, Joe Biden's healthy, printed all over the place, vaccine stop COVID, and COVID came from nature and it wasn't man created. So anyone try to tell me mainstream media versus Wikipedia, forget it. Tell them to come up with one thing that Wikipedia says it's wrong, because maybe back in the early 90s they had some mistakes in there, but not anymore. Now, so before there was Thanksgiving, there were feasts in Britain and other countries to kind of like a harvest feast. They call it like a harvest feast. And I think, it was around being thankful and all those kinds of things. But it wasn't really set in stone, and it wasn't really created in the U.S. until, of course, around 1619. They say December 4th, 1619 is when there's 3 different stories that Thanksgiving started in 3 different places. Of course, we use the Charlie Brown version, which says it happened in by the Pilgrims, and it was in the area of Plymouth Rock or around that area of Massachusetts. I noticed one thing I did post on my post. I said the Wampa. Remember the Wampa from my favorite movie of all time is, of course, Empire Strikes Back. I was a perfect age, anyways. The Wampa. So what does a Wampa have to do with Thanksgiving? Well, someone might have Googled it. I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. The Indians, there was 2 Indian tribes that joined the Pilgrims for a feast of Thanksgiving. And one were called, the Wampanoag. So I think I got that right. The Wampanoag Indians. So anyone wants to say the Wampa was there for the first Thanksgiving, and you could say, there you go, I got it. Also, there was the other tribe. I forgot the name. I didn't write it down here. My notes are a little sketchy sometimes. But the other tribe that also joined the Pilgrims used to be in the area of now known as Martha's Vineyard and Eastern Long Island. and that area. So I think if those people wanted to basically lay an ancestral claim, they could basically go take over Martha's Vineyard, of course, and set up a casino there. I'm on board with that solution. So let's just let those rich people sweat a little bit. So that's my thoughts on Thanksgiving. So a little bit of trivia. So let's talk about who celebrates Thanksgiving. So I had a list of countries, and there's a lot of countries that celebrate Thanksgiving. Some of them celebrate Thanksgiving following the American tradition. Some of them create their own traditions, but it's a pretty interesting list. Excuse me. I want to give you some ideas and some things that I've done for Thanksgiving. Of course, flag football. I used to do the Turkey Bowl way back when in my church days. Had golf. I had played golf with family members. We used to do that every Thanksgiving for quite a few years. But I wanted to also talk about some pretty interesting traditions that have evolved. And going back in history, November 26, 1789, you want to know the first president who declared Thanksgiving, it was George Washington. He declared Thanksgiving as a day of just being thankful and for the bounty that God has bestowed. So that is a pretty interesting fact. But the one fun thing that I found, have you guys seen this? The flaming turkey toss. They do this in Indiana. Basically, they wanted to shoot a turkey that flies 100 yards and then they also came out with all these different turkey catapults. So the flaming turkey can fly over 100 yards. I'm not necessarily a fan of wasting food, especially meat and animals like that, because I think my mom gave me this that animal gave its life for you, so you're going to eat it. And it gave me a lot of guilt. And so it's really hard, even for me at a restaurant, to just see meat being thrown away, because yes, an animal did give its life so that you might live yours and enjoy the meat. So you have to enjoy your meat and don't throw it away. But flaming turkey toss, look that one up. Streaking turkey went over 100 yards. Of course, I don't know if all of you, I thought everyone knew about turkey bowling. So frozen turkey bowling was a big sport back in the 80s. Is the one thing I learned about, is if you worked at a retail store and they made you work on Thanksgiving, well, when the store was closed, if you had any frozen turkey, you take that turkey and set up some bottles in the aisle and slide it right down the aisle. So you could set up the pins, frozen turkey bowling. And I guess when you get busted is when you start using Coke and sodas, because when they get knocked over, they fly all over the place. But you get, they used to play that where you get extra points if you make the bottles explode. So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but check it out on the internet. Again, I don't have any way of showing you these cool videos, but frozen turkey bowling is another one you got to look at. Also, the turkey calling competition. Have you guys heard of this? So this is called the pecker wrecker, which means the pecker, which is the turkey, gets wrecked because of the turkey calling. And every year they have a championship turkey caller. And if you guys want to check that out, look at the turkey calling. And if you want to understand how much you don't know or how much you can't do, try to do turkey calling just like this professional turkey callers do. It's so difficult. I try to do karaoke. I try to do different things with my voice. Turkey calling so far, super tough. So that's another one. They have the pecker wrecker. So don't forget what the pecker wrecker really is. We also used to say, the pecker wrecker is a zipper. So you got to be careful when you zip up your pants after you go to the bathroom. But this is probably a better idea for what a pecker wrecker really is, because it wrecks the pecker. The turkey is going to get shot. The other thing is, well, you guys watch the sports, you watch the NFL, they're talking about they're all excited about the turducken, which it's a turkey. You put a chicken inside of a duck, and then you take the duck and stuff it inside a turkey. And that's always an interesting one. You want to see something funny? Of course, everyone has seen the baby turkey prank, where you put the the chicken, maybe a Cornish game hen, you put it cooked inside the turkey. If you want to make it even more gross, open it when it's kind of raw, so that the little game hen is not cooked. tell your kids, oh my gosh, it had a baby. It had a baby inside, and watch them freak out. Maybe make your video, and then let them know, that I kind of didn't tell you the truth about turkeys. Turkeys don't really uh, make babies inside their stomach. They make it in their little pouch, right? Like the kangaroos. So that way you can get them next year. Like, oh no, we got one that's in the pouch. Oh no, and then you put a little flap, and then you put anyway. But everybody knows turkeys lay. Well, not everybody, because then the joke wouldn't work. But everyone knows that turkeys lay eggs, right? Because they're fowl. They're like chickens, huge chickens. They're birds. So so of course this Thanksgiving I got turkey, I got pozole, I tried different pies, I got pecan, pumpkin, coconut cream, banana cream. Uh, of course, my wife loves the Dutch apple pie because I think she just likes the word Dutch because I'm Dutch and she likes Dutch. She thinks everything with the word Dutch is good. So don't tell her; it would just make her think that that's true. So sweet potatoes, string beans, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, salad, and of course the pumpkin pie. I got me a nice piece of pumpkin pie. I wanted to say thanks to my family for a great time. I had a great time at Thanksgiving. And I just going back in history, my parents and your parents' family might have the special placeware. I don't know if you guys ever had that. We had the red glasses. We had a big turkey dish. We had like a Thanksgiving cornucopia looking image on it. My dad would come out with the turkey cutter, which that was like the only time of the year that he used the automatic meat cutter. So that thing went in and cut the turkey. Of course, I don't think it really lasted more than a couple years because a lot of times we just got really curious as kids, and that thing ended up cutting Barbie's hair, cutting strings, cutting rope, and it ended up rusted in the backyard, stuck on the metal fence. I think that's what happened to the turkey cutter because it does serve many uses when you have younger kids who are not necessarily supervised. The other thing is kitchen tools. I want to talk a little bit about kitchen tools, but I'm not going to talk about kitchen tools because it's kind of boring. The only thing I have that's funny would be the turkey cutter, of course. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is probably the more fun as well, probably not as fun as the food. The food is probably the best. The people is number one in Thanksgiving. The food is number two, family, food, and number three, sports. So the with the sports side of it, we saw some football, we saw some baseball, but I was thinking about what is the funny things that people say about a baseball. Let's say you go to a baseball game or you go to a football game. What are the funny things that you can call out? And I just got a few for you. So we know that when you go to a baseball game, you say stuff like this, right? So there's a lot of different sports that are shown, of course, in the holidays, and we're going to see a lot through the month of December as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of things that I learned from all the different sports, just things that I just necessarily hockey. Of course, with hockey, if you're going to go to a hockey game, it's best to be on the glass. I suggest pay the money to be on the glass so you can hit the glass and beat the glass and watch how these guys beat the crap out of each other. Because I think that's, to me, the best part of hockey, of course, is probably the fights. And sure, yeah, you want people to win and get the hat trick. You can throw your hat out there and do that kind of stuff. But, of course, beat the glass in the hockey game. Wanted to also, one of these days, I am going to try dual hockey skates. I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried those. It's the hockey skates that has two blades instead of one. And I hear they're a little bit more stable. And now that I'm getting a little bit older and want to travel around, on my agenda, on my bucket list is try dual ice skates. Anyone has any idea about how those work? Any suggestions, whether they not good or however, let me know. The other thing is soccer. Now, soccer, they call it a soccer match, just like in tennis. Soccer can be rough and dirty, and they kind of kick the crap out of each other. And if you want to watch soccer, that's fine. It's just a pretty long match, and I kind of lose my interest pretty quickly. And then tennis matches, of course, it's a match. A lot of times it's just too clean. I don't know if I could ever go to a tennis match. I like sports where it's just a little bit dirty. I like it right in the middle. But tennis is a great sport. I love to watch and I love to play it. So remember baseball, right? Baseball is a fun sport because you could sit there in the seats and just say funny stuff. Remember Ferris Bueller? We say, "Hey, batter, swing, batter. You can't hit it." Say all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to give you a few funny things that you could say for a baseball game. Of course, we know the Seinfeld. They say, "Easy out, move up." When you got to play, say, "Hey, everybody, move up." Remember when you were younger, you played baseball? Move up, move up. We gotta. They say, "Oh, there's a girl at the bat. There's a girl talking crap, right?" Easy out. How about in Seinfeld? He said, "Get your shrimp here. Get your shrimp here. Come on in." And we also remember saying, "We want a pitcher, right? We want a pitcher, not a belly itcher. We want a batter, not what? We want a catcher, not a butt scratcher." Okay. How about we want a batter, not a broken ladder? Which I don't know. That doesn't really work. I have never used that one. How about this one? We want a hitter, not a babysitter. That's a good one. I like that. I made that up. So I want to mention a few other fun things to say at a sport event. Of course, at football games, when I went to high school, we had the English teachers was the announcer, and her name was Miss Malumphie, and she would come up with the really coolest, funniest stuff to say. But of course, I'd be sitting in the stands, and I'd hear the guy next to me say, "Hit somebody," and he'll say it over and over and over. I don't even know if his kid was playing. I think he just went to the local high school just to tell someone to hit somebody. But I thought that was pretty funny because he said it all through the game. But Miss Malumphie, she would say things like, "Takes a licking and keep on ticking." So the guy's getting hit and but you can't say licking anymore because nobody knows what licking is. Actually has a different meaning. A licking would be like when you get whooped, right? Hot knife, she said like this, "Is a hot knife through butter. He went through the defense like a hot knife through butter." So that's a good one. Let's see. How about I looked this one up. So the funny one. So there was a player who played, I think he said for Texas, Jose Siri. He was a baseball player. And a lot of the fans like to say, "Hey Siri, hit the ball. Hey Siri, what are you going to do? Hey Siri, steal the base." So just be glad your last name is not Siri. Also the fun thing to look up, there's a really cool thing for the holidays. Check out those Amish Christmas lights. Of course, it's funny because the Amish don't use electricity, but be careful because the Amish will strike back. Someone's going to go and tell them, "Hey, they're making fun of you guys for not having Christmas lights." Next thing you know, you're going to have some kind of fangled device with using candles. And I'm sure the Amish celebrate using candles. They decorate Christmas, and I'll bet it's beautiful. So don't bag on the Amish when it comes to Christmas lights. They will fight back. And you might not like it. And it'll not cost any electricity. Actually, you might like it. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, I think I got the last two things. So the last thing I want to talk about, second to last thing is alcohol. Of course, there are some rules when it comes to alcohol, and not everybody drinks alcohol. But just remember, when you drink alcohol, the foam always goes on top. So if you put your hard liquor in, the foam, the beer, anything with what do you call it? Bubbles. Anything with bubbles, anything with carbonation has to be drinking last. Do not put hard liquor on top of carbonated drinks. So beer is last. Beer is a finisher. The other thing is, be careful with gin. So you can mix a lot of different alcohols, tequila, rum, vodka, but be careful with gin. Gin is like an angry Brit in a pub. He will not get away with any. He doesn't get along with anyone. He wants to fight with everyone. So just keep gin by itself if you're going to drink it. So also remember drinks like if it has a name like Adios Mother Effer, they mean it. It's not a joke. They named it that for a reason. Cuidado. So be very careful. The last thing I want to talk about, and I wanted to let you know, I am doing my my daily Spanish lesson. So I'm doing my every day I'm going to be learning more Spanish. So of course I'm doing the Duolingo app, which is a nice way to learn a different language. And I'm learning. I know more than Juan come manzanas, which is of course the first phrase you learn in in that app, which is it's a good one. But I quit more than I'm learning. So I want to be able to be conversational in Spanish. So for those of you who speak Spanish and you don't understand my podcast, do your Duolingo in English. Meet me halfway. We gotta Spanish gotta learn English gotta learn Spanish. You gotta find a way that we can all communicate. But on that note, I want to tell you something. The last thing, which has been bugging me for a while, and I got to get this off my chest. So everybody knows what a Smurf is. At least most people know what a Smurf is. So there was a guy named Peyo, right? He's the guy who created the Smurfs. And then back in, was it before the 70s? It was in the late 60s. He came up and said, let me go Smurf this and let me go Smurf that. And him and his friend were laughing because he was at a restaurant. He said, I'm going to go Smurf me some salt. He made up the name Smurf. He made these little blue creatures, which are adorable. And I grew up watching the Smurfs. It was one of my favorite cartoons ever. And so, but what happened? How come some people don't call them Smurfs in different languages? And we know in Spanish, they're called pitufos, right? So I was in Mexico. I'm like, how they got pitufos all over what is that? Like, how come they're not called Smurfs? I couldn't get my head around why wouldn't they just call it a Smurf? Like English, we call tacos tacos. We call pozole pozole. We don't call it, that good soup with the pork or garbanzo beans. We don't make up a word. There's no word made up for something that was created in Spanish. But let me tell you how this happened. So I did a little research. So basically, there's a guy when the Smurfs first came out. There's a guy. His name was Miguel Augusti, and he owned a Spanish magazine, a Spanish-speaking magazine called Strong. I don't know if it's still around. I don't know if you guys know what Strong the magazine is, but basically, he saw these Smurfs and he basically titled all. So when he got like Family Circus or he got Garfield, he got the little cartoon strips, he sent them and he had to put them in the paper in his magazine and he put a title on it. Well, he for some reason, and I don't know why, he didn't put Smurfs. And you have to question why. Why would you make up a name for something that already has a name? Can people who speak Spanish not say the word Smurf? Of course you can. You could say Smurf. And so what he did is he saw this this sculpture of an ox, and the ox was called Patufet. And he said, you know what? I'm going to call him Pitufos. And he came up with his name and he titled it. And ever since then, Spanish people were robbed. I'm sorry. You were robbed of the ability to call them Smurfs because it's so cool when you can go, hey, I'm going to go Smurf this. Hey, I'm going to go Smurf me that. I'm going to Smurf me some weights, right? I'm going to go lift some weights, right? But you can't do it with Spanish. You say, I'm going to pitufo me some weights. Pitufo, what the heck? Smurf, 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 Smurf. So say it with me, Smurf. So I want to encourage, I want to say one thing. Portuguese people call them Smurfs. A lot of different languages call them Smurfs. Even Russian, it sounds like Smurf. It's very close, but it's Smurf. If you want to look up, go to Wikipedia, my favorite encyclopedia now, right? Look up Smurfs. Look up all the countries that call them Smurfs. But in Spanish, they decided to call them Pitufos. So I'm starting a campaign right now, and there will be T-shirts, and there will be a campaign that basically says, let the Spanish people have the Smurfs. So that's it. That's my speech for the day. So I hope you guys really liked the show. It was a little bit short. There's not as much content as I would like, but the next one, we're going to do some pretty interesting things. I want to say hi to some of my friends that are watching. Hi, Monica Guzman, Ceci, Mariana, Ron. What's up, Ron Bindel, my old friend from high school? I want to say hi to some of the people I can see. And hi to every one of you. And thanks to my wife for being my producer and help me set all this up for you. And you guys just go out and just remember, with the Idea Farm, it's if, right? The idea farm. This is Brent's idea farm. So we're going to take ideas and concepts. So when people tell you, hey, this land belonged to the Indians, Native American land. And so you say, so what? What's the point? What do you want me to do about it? And a lot of times people will tell you things because they're trying to get you to manipulate you. They're trying to get you to do something. And if you ask them what do you want me to do about it? And they don't have a good answer. So thanks for the information. I don't know how it can help me. I don't know what I can do with it, but always ask the question. Let's do that. What's the usage strategy? US, what's the usage strategy for information, for ideas? So I got that idea. What are we going to do with it? And so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to take our positive mindset, and apply it to everything we run into. People are trying to do the right thing. They're not necessarily corrupt. They're not trying to do the wrong thing for you. We're going to look for the good in people and look for the good in their concept. But you always got to ask them, what's the usage strategy? That's great information. It's an information farm where it's growing. That's a nice plant. What can I do with that? Is it a weed in your garden of ideas? Weeds can come in there. We don't want weeds, but weeds can help us understand what we need to pull, right? So it doesn't belong. So thank you guys very much for watching the show. Don't forget what? Oh, don't forget to like. Don't forget to like the video, share the video. I appreciate people like Raymundo has helped to share the video. I'm watching you guys. I'm watching who shares. I really appreciate it. And also click on the subscribe button, which is a little bit higher than the follow button, but do it both, follow, and then click again, subscribe, which means as soon as I go live, you'll see it, as well as you'll see all the updates from the show. And recommend to a friend, share it to a friend, tell them about the show, tag them, go on the show information, tag them. I'm happy to help, but I'm here to just talk about ideas. It's an idea farm, right? Ideas and information, which are both of the I's. There's ideas and information, and it's a farm. We look at how they're going to grow. What do we do with them? Is it Brussels sprouts? Is it going to taste like farts? Or is it going to be good? What are we going to do with it, right? So that's the end of the show. You guys have a great time. I'm going to be back. I'm not going to say exactly when, but I'm shooting for Wednesday, and I'm trying to get it all done and have it all ready for you by this Wednesday. So enjoy your Monday show. Enjoy your sports. Have a good time, and I hope I gave you guys something fun to do. All right? And think about it at least. We'll see you guys later. Bye.